Hi, good morning. Right. See, actually, we were learning about atomic radius. In our previous class, we learned about atomic radius, and atomic radius of an individual atom cannot be found because always atoms will be under the influence of other atoms. Okay, so there will be change. Always there will be change in the size of the atom depending upon the nature of the environment. So it's a surrounding environment. So in that case, so we cannot find the exact radius of the atom because always atoms are in combined state. Most of the atoms, almost every atom, with very few exceptions, almost all the atoms are they exist in combined state. That means combined state means they form bonds with other atoms. One atom will form bond with other atom. So that is why these atoms are said to be in combined state. So when atoms are in combined states, then there will be bond length because when atoms will form bond with each other. So every bond will have bond length. Bond length means the distance between the two nucleus of the combining atoms is said to be bond length. The internuclear distance between the combining atoms is said to be bond length. So here, based on the bond lengths only, we can find the atomic radius because atomic radius is nothing but half of the bond length. So based on that bond length, we can find the atomic radius. See, again, based on the nature of the bond, based on the nature of the bond, the atomic radius or else bond lengths will vary. See, covalent bond will possess covalent radius. Okay, that means when two atoms are in covalent bond, then those atoms will possess covalent radius. When two atoms are in metallic bond, they possess metallic radius or else Mr. This is covalent radius Cr, and this is metallic radius. Metallic radius is also called as crystalline radius. So it is represented with Mr and van der Waals radius. See, the basic difference between covalent bond, crystalline bond and van der Waals bond is here. In covalent bond, suppose if two atoms are in covalent bond, this is the nucleus of one atom, this is the nucleus of another atom. So here, when the two atoms merge with each other, so what happened? Some of the electron density of this atom will be shared by this atom, and some of the electron density of this atom will be shared by this atom. That means this electron density, so this portion, the electron density present in this portion, it is shared by both the atoms. So here, due to the sharing of electrons between the two atoms, the bond is formed. Hence the bond is said to be covalent bond. It's called as covalent bond. And the bond length is said to be covalent bond length, and the radius, half of the bond length is said to be covalent radius. So already we have learned in the previous class, covalent radius simply we will denote with the Cr. Okay, then what is metallic bond? See, for example, if you take a piece of sodium metal or else any metal, iron metal or sodium metal, so how the atoms are arranged in a piece of metal? Because it is a solid, so actually atoms are closely packed or else tightly packed, so one atom will touch another atom. So let us assume this is a piece of sodium metal, and these are all what? These are all sodium atoms. So one atom touches with another atom like this. So like this. So this is an atom. These are the atoms of sodium. So like this. Okay. So in this way, you will find the arrangement of atoms. See, one atom will touch the other atom. Now, this is a metal atom and this is also a metal atom. So between the metal atoms, the bond, the force of attraction is said to be metallic bond. Metallic bond is found. Okay. Metallic bond is formed. So here in metallic bond, suppose these two atoms are in metallic bond. Now the distance between the two metal atoms, between the two nucleus of the metal atoms, so it is said to be metallic bond length. It is said to be metallic bond length. Bond length means, what is bond length? Bond length is also always be equal to the internuclear distance between the bonded atoms. Internuclear distance, that means the distance between the two nucleus of the bonded atoms is said to be bond length. So the bond length is said to be metallic bond length, and half of the bond length, half of the bond length is said to be, half of the metallic bond length is said to be metallic radius. It is said to be metallic radius. See, if you observe closely in depth, see these two atoms, they merge into each other, but here the atoms are not merged. Simply atom is treated as a sphere, so simply it appears to be two spheres, simply they are touching each other. Okay, so now simply if you see the bond length when compared to covalent bond, the bond length in metallic bond, it is more. So atoms are not merged into this one. In metallic bond, atoms are not merged. So hence simply atoms touch with each other. That means there will be distance, there will be more distance between the two nucleus in metallic bond when compared to covalent bond. Okay. So from this it is understood that metallic radius will be greater than covalent radius, because the distance here it is more when compared to the distance between the two nucleus, and half of the distance is said to be half of the distance of covalent bond length. Half of the distance of covalent bond length is said to be covalent radius, and half of the distance between the half of the distance of the metallic bond length is said to be metallic radius. So that means, remember that metallic radius is greater than covalent radius. And one more radius. What is that one? Van der Waals radius. See, actually, for example, this is related to molecules. So here, for example, this is one molecule. Take chlorine, solidified chlorine. Let us take. So in solidified chlorine gas, when chlorine gas is solidified, what happens? See, this is chlorine molecule, and neighboring chlorine molecule will be here. Okay, these two are two chlorine molecules. That means, so this is one chlorine atom and this is another chlorine atom. See, actually chlorine molecule will be like this. Cl2, two chlorine atoms will merge. So here between two chlorine atoms there will be covalent bond. So this is chlorine molecule, and its neighboring chlorine molecule will be again, it is like that only. Okay, so in this case, so one atom from one molecule, this is the chlorine atom from one molecule, and here this is the chlorine atom from other molecule. So these two are different molecules. Now between the atom of this molecule and the atom of this molecule, so between these two atoms there will be some weak force of attraction. That weak force of attraction is said to be Van der Waals forces. Okay, Van der Waals forces. So force of attraction is nothing but what? Bond. So that means there is a bond between this atom and this atom, but these two atoms, they belong to different molecules. So this atom belong to this molecule and this atom belong to this molecule. So that means between two atoms which belong to different molecules, there is a bond is formed, and that bond is said to be Van der Waals force of attraction. Now the distance between the nucleus of this atom and this atom, so now this distance is said to be Van der Waals bond length. Van der Waals bond length. See, already we learned that half of the bond length, either it may be metallic bond or covalent bond or else Van der Waals bond, whatever the bond it may be. So the distance between the two nucleus is said to be two nucleus of the bonded atoms is said to be bond length, and If you take exactly half of the bond length, then it is said to be radius. Now here, if you see, so here from here to here, that means from this point to this point, so the distance it is said to be van der Waals radius. Van der Waals radius. Are you following? So this is what? This is van der Waals radius. So van der Waals radius. Van der Waals radius, which is denoted by VR. Now compare metallic radius with van der Waals radius. See, metallic radius here, half of the metallic bond, but here van der Waals radius is nothing but half of the van der Waals bond length. So which one is greater? See, look here, these atoms are not touching. There is gap between the atoms as the force of attraction is weak. So here these atoms, they are not brought together. They are not brought together. Simply, of course, they are not touching, but they are brought together very closer, but they are not touching with each other. In case of van der Waals force of attraction. So in that case, if you calculate the bond length, it will be more. So the bond length of van der Waals bond is more. As the bond length is more, then the radius also will be more. That means van der Waals radius will be greater than metallic radius, and which is greater than covalent radius. Metallic radius is also called as crystalline radius. Okay, right. That means always remember that van der Waals radius is greater than metallic radius, and metallic radius is greater than crystalline radius. Simply you remember it as Vijayawada Municipality Corporation. So this order. So van der Waals radius is always larger than the metallic radius, and metallic radius is always larger than the covalent radius. See, van der Waals radius is almost 40%. Okay, 40% larger. Van der Waals radius is almost van der Waals radius is 40% larger than covalent radius. Remember that van der Waals radius is 40% larger than covalent radius. For example, if you see metallic radius, the distance between the two sodium atoms in the piece of sodium metal, it will be 3.72 angstroms between two sodium atoms. So the bond length of metallic radius, metallic bond length. If you take sodium piece, if you take a piece of sodium, in piece of sodium, all these are sodium atoms, and the bond length in this in metallic bond, it is 3.74 angstroms. Then metallic radius will be what? Half of the bond length. Then half of 3.74 angstroms. So how much it will be? So it will be around 1.86 angstroms. 1.86 angstroms. Okay. Here, if you see between the two chlorine molecules, these two chlorine molecules, they are separated by a distance of 3.6 angstroms. So here between the two nucleus, the bond length. Here the bond length is chlorine atom. So if you see chlorine molecule, so bond length, van der Waals bond length. Van der Waals bond length is equal to 3.6 angstroms. Therefore, van der Waals radius is equal to 3.6 by 2 is equal to 1.8 angstroms. Okay, like this. Of course, I have taken sodium as example here. Here chlorine as an example. Okay. So as the atoms are different, so their bond length, their radius also will be different. So, but for a same atom, if you consider a same atom, so if the same atom is involved in, see, look here in covalent, between these two, in chlorine molecule, between these two, here the covalent bond length, here I am writing, metallic bond length, van der Waals bond length of chlorine is 3.6 angstrom, whereas the covalent bond length in chlorine is 1.98 only. In chlorine, the covalent bond length I am writing. Covalent bond length. Covalent bond length is equal to only 1.8 angstroms. 1.98 angstroms. 1.98 angstroms. So therefore, the covalent radius in chlorine molecule, the van der Waals radius is 1.8, whereas covalent radius is equal to 1.98 by 2, so it will be 0.99 angstroms. Okay, between two chlorine atoms, that means the covalent radius. So in the chlorine gas, or else in chlorine molecules, if you see here the covalent radius is 0.99 only. The chlorine atoms, the covalent radius of the chlorine atoms is 0.99, whereas the van der Waals radius of the chlorine atoms is 1.8 angstroms. So these are all atomic radius only, but it depends upon the type of, the nature of bond what we are looking into. So here, if you see, if you calculate the atomic radius based on the van der Waals atomic radius based on the van der Waals forces of attraction, then the chlorine its atomic radius will become van der Waals radius, and it will be 1.8 angstroms. Okay, if we calculate the chlorine's atomic radius in terms of covalent bond, now the radius will become covalent radius, and its covalent radius will be 0.99 angstrom unit. So in this way, covalent radius it is always smaller than metallic radius, and metallic radius will be still smaller than van der Waals radius. So like this. Okay, see, when compared to a theoretical, suppose if it is a theoretical radius of atom, so when compared to theoretical atomic radius, the covalent radius is 20% less than the theoretical, because here atoms are merging. Because atoms are merging, so one atom will merge into this one. As a result of this one, so electron density, instead of calculating from here here to here, will calculate only up to here only. So that means 20% of the radius is decreased from the theoretical atomic radius. That means covalent radius is 20% less than the theoretical atomic radius. Okay, and also van der Waals radius is how much? It is greater 40%. Okay, it is 40% greater than 40% greater than what? Covalent rate. So in this way, so I mean this atomic radius will be, so it is of three types based on the type of bond between the atoms. Okay, right. So now let us learn about how the atomic radius, it varies along a group and in a period. Okay, we'll see variation of atomic radius in a period and around a. Generally, van der Waals radius is calculated for particularly inert gases. Okay, because inert gases, they are monoatomic. Inert gases means they are monoatomic. That means they exist as single atom. Inert gases are monoatomic. That means they exist as a single atom only, because atom itself is a stable atom. Every atom of inert gases. What are inert gases? Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, oganesson. So all the atoms of inert gases, they are they exist isolated atoms. They exist as isolated atom. Okay, got it. So now the force of attraction between one atom and the other atom in inert gases, so it is very weak. So here weak bond is there, very weak bond. So that bond is said to be van der Waals forces. Van der Waals forces. So out of several types of bonds, remember that covalent bond is stronger. Covalent bond is stronger than ionic bond. Okay, ionic bond is stronger than metallic bond. Metallic bond. Okay, next metallic bond is van der Waals forces. Van der Waals forces. So out of several types of force of attraction, bond means force of attraction. So out of several types of forces of attraction, van der Waals forces of attraction are the very weak forces of attraction. Again, van der Waals forces of attraction are of several types. Okay, so these are of several types. Out of several types of van der Waals forces, so the very weakest among all van der Waals forces are said to be London dispersion forces. London dispersion forces. London dispersion forces. So the weakest forces which exist in the nature are London dispersion forces. So London dispersion forces are one type of van der Waals forces. Van der Waals forces are of several types. Dipole-dipole interaction. Okay. Dipole-induced dipole interactions. London dispersion forces. So these three types of van der Waals forces are there. So van der Waals forces are itself. They are out of several types of bonds. Van der Waals forces are weak forces, and among van der Waals forces, so again the van der Waals forces are of three types mainly. So dipole-dipole interaction, induced dipole interaction, and London dispersion forces. So London dispersion forces are else they are the weakest forces amongst the van der Waals forces. Okay, let it be. So now between the inert gases you will find the van der Waals forces. Okay, right, because these two, there is no connection between the atoms. They are not merged, or else simply the atoms also they won't touch. Okay, the atoms they remain apart from each other by certain distance. Okay, now the force of attraction will be weak if they are merged. What happens? Covalent bond. That means the force of attraction will be stronger. Okay, got it? Right. Now let us learn about the variation of atomic radius in a period and in a group. So before learning the variation of atomic radius in a period and along a group, so first we have to see about the effective nuclear charge, how it varies from effective nuclear charge. That means Z effect, Z star or Z EFF, Z effective. Already we have seen Z star is equal to what? Z minus sigma. Okay, so how Z star it varies along a period, and how it varies along a group. Okay, along a period from left to right. Generally period means, so here in our period table already we have learned that. So as we move from left to right, then it is said to be a period, and if we move from top to bottom down, it is said to be, as we move down along a period table, then it is said to be a group. This is group wise and this is period wise. Okay, now if we move from left to right, period means from left to right, from left towards right side it is said to be period, and from top to bottom it is said to be, as we move from top to down, it is said to be group. Okay, so remember that always period means from left to right, from left to right. From left to right, what happens? Effective nuclear charge increases. Why effective nuclear charge increases? Because reason, because the reason is n remains constant. N remains constant. What is n? N means orbit number. Orbit number remains constant, but nuclear charge increases. Nuclear charge increases. As a result of this, what happens? Z value increases. How? For example, take a sodium atom. Sodium atom contains 11 positive charges and how much? 11 electrons. So here 2 electrons, in the second orbit 8 electrons, in the third orbit there is 1 electron. So this is about sodium. And if you see the magnesium atom, in the nucleus of the magnesium there are 12 positive charges. So 2 electrons in the first orbit, okay, 8 electrons in the second orbit, 8 electrons, and in the third orbit, so one more electron is increased. And if you see the aluminum atom, so here in aluminum atom there are 13 positive charges. So this is the first orbit, it contains 2 electrons only, and even in second orbit there are 8 electrons, and in aluminum there are 3 electrons in the third orbit. This is aluminum. Okay, see along a period, that means from sodium to magnesium to aluminum, what is happening? See, the electron, the newly added electron, it is entering into the third shell only. In sodium atom, the newly added electron is in third shell, and even in magnesium atom also, the newly added electron is in third shell, and even in aluminum also the newly added electron is in third shell. That means n remains constant. Orbit number, outermost orbit, n means outermost orbit. Outermost orbit is same in all the atoms. Okay, that means the distance between the nucleus and the outermost orbit, this is the third orbit, is the outermost orbit. Here also third orbit is the outermost orbit, and here also third orbit is the outermost orbit. When third orbit is outermost orbit in all the atoms, so the distance between the nucleus and that orbit should be same. The distance between the nucleus and the third orbit should be same in all the atoms. But what is happening? Something is happening here. See, 11 positive charges are here. Here 12 positive charges, and here 13 positive charges. So which nucleus is more powerful? So 13, then this nucleus with 13 positive charges is more powerful. That means it will try to attract the electrons. So these are all electrons. These electrons are attracted more towards the nucleus when the nucleus power is more. Okay, but here when compared to this one, the nucleus power is less. So what happens? These electrons are not dragged to that extent. They are simply dragged to a bit only. But in this case, this nucleus will pull the electrons strongly towards itself, and all the electrons will come closer to the nucleus. Okay, but in magnesium, so they come only just a bit closer, whereas in sodium only very little closer, that electron will be pulled by the nucleus. So as a result of what is happening? So here the size of the atom, it is gradually decreased. Though the electron, though the last orbit is third orbit in all the atoms. Okay, but what is happening here? What is happening here means the nuclear charge, the effective nuclear charge is more. Okay, here the effective nuclear charge is more. So that is why what happens? The atomic radius here, the size of the atom shrinks. So this is about atomic radius, but not effective nuclear charge. So simply remember that effective nuclear charge increases. Effective nuclear charge increases because the number of positive charges increases along a period. Okay, so actually this reason is for atomic size, atomic radius, or it's atomic size. Atomic size is also called as atomic radius. Atomic size is also called as atomic radius. Now, what happens to the effective nuclear charge along down the group? See, See, down the group means lithium, sodium. So suppose this is a lithium atom with the 3 positive charges in it. Okay. Simply remember that down the group Z effective remains constant. Effective nuclear charge remains constant, almost same. So lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. So down the group, as we move from lithium to sodium, sodium to potassium and all these things, so down the group effective nuclear charge Z effective or else effective nuclear charge it remains constant, but effective nuclear charge, what happens, it increases along the period. So this is the thing we need to learn. And here this one will be for normal elements. What are normal elements? Normal elements are nothing but representative elements. For representative elements, the effective nuclear charge will be like this. Okay, right. So now we will learn about atomic radius. How atomic radius varies. Atomic radius, it is also called as atomic size. Atomic size is expressed in atomic radius. Okay, or else atomic radius or atomic size, they are synonymous. Okay, that means we just interchange the words. Okay, see, along a period what happens? Along a period, atomic size along a period. See, as a nuclear, already we have seen that. So along a period from left to right, what happens? N remains constant. What is N? Outermost orbit remains constant. We have seen in the previous example. Okay, sodium, magnesium and aluminum. So N remains constant, but Z star increases. So these two are the reasons. Because of these two reasons, what happens? Atomic size increases along a period from left to right. So that means, atomic size decreases, not increases. Atomic size decreases. When effective nuclear charge increases, what happens? So in case of from sodium to magnesium and from magnesium to aluminium, what is happening? Nucleus is becoming more powerful. So therefore, what happens? The size of the atom shrinks. It decreases. So that means from sodium to magnesium, size of the atom, atomic size is decreased. What is the reason? Means, so Z effective or else effective nuclear charge or else Z star increases. Okay, because N remains constant, the effective nuclear charge increases. So therefore, sodium is large size atom when compared to magnesium, because magnesium is having more powerful nucleus. Therefore, it try to pull all the electrons towards the center. When compared to sodium, magnesium's nucleus will try to pull all the electrons much closer towards its center. When compared to magnesium, aluminum will try to pull all the electrons much still closer than magnesium towards its center. So like this. So aluminum, after aluminum, silicon and so on. So what happens? The size of the atom slowly it decreases. Silicon, phosphorus, sulfur and chlorine. So like this, from sodium to chlorine, the size decreases. So next to chlorine, I am writing this one again. From sodium to magnesium, size decreases. From magnesium to aluminum, decreases still. It still decreases. So chlorine will be the smallest atom in the third period. So these are all elements belong to third period. So even argon is also there in the third period, but the size of the argon is more, it is larger, because already we have seen for inert gases we will calculate only the van der Waals radius, but for these atoms we will calculate metallic radius as well as covalent radius. So these are metals and these are non-metals. So what happens non-metals? So non-metals, they have less because non-metals possess covalent radius. So covalent radius is the smallest radius out of all the three types of radius. So that means by the time I mean as we move from left sodium to chlorine, from left to right, what happens, the size gradually decreases and chlorine will become the smallest size in the third period. So thereupon from chlorine to argon, what happens, again size increases, because up to here we will consider only either covalent radius or metallic radius, but here we will calculate van der Waals radius, because here argon atoms, as it is inert gas, so one argon atom and another argon atom, these two, they do not form any bond, they do not touch even. So that means the only force of attraction existing between these two argon atoms is only van der Waals forces. So now the van der Waals bond length is there and only van der Waals radius is possible. So van der Waals radius is always greater, hence when compared to covalent radius or metallic radius. So of these atoms, these atoms do not possess van der Waals radius in their general state, okay, but these atoms they possess van der Waals radius. Hence for argon van der Waals radius is considered, whereas for other atoms, so we will consider generally covalent radius. Okay, in very rare cases we will go with the metallic radius. So that means always van der Waals radius is greater than covalent radius. Hence, so as we move from sodium to chlorine, size decreases gradually. So chlorine will become the smallest atom, and here from chlorine to argon the size jumps, and argon will be the largest size atom in all the in this group, in third group, sorry, in third period, the size of the argon is more, okay, than all other atoms. So like this, that means in a period from left to right, atomic radius decreases, okay, as the effective nuclear charge increases. So what is the reason for a decrease in atomic size? As effective nuclear charge increases, the atomic size decreases from left to right along a period. Now let us see suppose if you see, this is alkali metal and this is halogen, okay, so generally we can generalize like this. So alkali metals in any period, in any period, okay, alkali metals have largest size. So because we should not consider this van der Waals radius, inert gases, because they possess van der Waals radius. So generally we will consider only these are up to halogens only, because these are non-reactive gases. Okay, generally non-reactive gases we generally don't study about the properties, because they are already non-reactive, hence they do not show special properties. So we are interested generally chemistry deals with the reactive elements only. Okay, chemistry deals with the reactive elements. So which elements are reactive? So only up to halogens, that means 7th year group elements are called as halogens. Alkali metals are first year group elements, 7th year group elements are called as halogens. Okay, so the halogens possess the smallest size. So what are halogens? Halo means it is related to salt. Gens means halogens, Gens. Halogens. Gens means generate. That means these are the what are halogens actually? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. So these are halogens. So they are obtained in salt water only. Halo means salt water. Gens means produce, production, generation. So these elements are obtained. They are mainly obtained in salt water. That means in seawater. Hence they are called as halogens. For example, sodium chloride (NaCl). So chlorine is obtained from seawater. So there is ample, large amount of chlorine (NaCl) in seawater. So likewise, bromine, iodine, they are also present in large amounts in seawater. Hence they are called as halogens. So like this. So in any period, what happens? Alkali metals, they have largest size, okay, and halogens have the smallest size. However, the radius of inert gases is larger than the halogens in the same period. So here, the radius of inert gas, argon is an inert gas which belong to third period, and chlorine is a halogen which belong to third period. Always remember that halogens will have larger size, inert gases will have larger size than halogens. Okay. Now let us see how atomic size varies along a group, down the group. How atomic size varies down the group.